Welcome to the Camnet main news. We do apologize for bringing our news slightly late. This was due to a power failure which we experienced. Further, our headlines. Corruption accused Chitalu Chilufya attends parliament after being arrested. UPND says Bill number 10 died on the 4th of June 2020 as parley differs it. Fire sweeps through shops at Mutendere main market. And in international news, Zimbabwe's fuel prices rise by 150%. And in sports, Zambian academies make FIFA ecosystem analyst program. To present the main news, my name is Banda Tandiwe. An organization compromising eminent persons has been formed to champion good governance and accountability in the country. The organization, being called our Civic Duty Association or CEDA, is comprising former civil servants, freedom fighters, diplomats and church leaders. Among the leaders of the organizations include former Catholic Archbishop of Lusaka, Telesfo Mpundu, former secretaries to the cabinet, Sketchley Sachika and Leslie Mbula, and former ambassador to France, Lily Monze, amongst others. Speaking during the launch of the organization at Kapingila Guest House in Lusaka, the leaders have charged that the formation of the organization is as a result of a dangerous state of the country full of corruption and injustices. Details in this report.
Zambia has for a long time and since independence aimed at being truly democratic and a respecter of the fundamental human rights of its people by enabling them to participate fully in governance and economic development, thereby creating a strong, inclusive, healthy and an empowered population. Without second thoughts, the tug of war between the owners of power, which are the people, and the holders of power, the government leaders, is a clear indication of the need to acknowledge the precarious state of the country. Many questions regarding corruption and matters of governance have gone unanswered, observes a newly established organization known as our Civic Duty Association or CEDA.
And we have our young people going into a farm to raise their voices when all they want to do is to be heard. How can they be trained? How can they be equipped? How can they be made ready to take over responsibility if you do not train them?
What is happening in our country is that while the Constitution says this, the people in government are doing something completely different. Yes. That is where the problem is. The problem is simply that there is no rule of law in Zambia. The rule of law and respect for the law have completely collapsed. We take the president as the law. The president is not the law. The president is a creation of the Constitution.
The organization has been formed by some senior citizens, among them freedom fighters, a retired church leader, and some retired civil servants who served in government during the time of the UNIP right through the MMD and PF governments.
Our vision is a Zambia that is truly democratic and respects the fundamental human rights of its people, enabling them to participate fully in its governance and economic development. The immediate need for our government to deal with corruption and the production of a program acceptable to the IMF.
These include Simon Zukas, Lily Monze, Botis Kapulu, Archbishop Telesfo Mpundu, Ompi Nkumbula, Sketchley Sasika, Yusuf Patel, and Leslie Mbula. After observing a precarious state that has risen from corruption, diminishing political space, lack of inclusiveness, and many other unanswered tales, CEDA called on youth to take up leadership and speak against the vices.
So it is important that you as young generation, you should take an interest in what is happening. There is a saying which says, the young forests are the trees of tomorrow. And if you, the young forest, cannot grow into trees of tomorrow, then there will be no forest. So the onus is onus as young generation. The onus is onus as old Madalas. We are here to provide guidance, to provide leadership, but at the end of the day, you have to take it up and move on. Don't fold your hands. This is a time to stand up and be counted.
The organization leaders have charged that what is happening in the governance of this country was a shame and that the leaders needed to rethink their governing skills.
We have a system of oversight institutions. Now, these are very important institutions, and their role is to check the excesses of the executive. Because the executive is given a lot of powers, and if not checked, they can go very excessively to the disadvantage of the people.
Delivering a key speech among the many concerns that have been brought up by the organization directors, OSIDA chairman Simon Zukas has stated that there was abundant need to stop corruption, which he said had a dire impact on everything affecting the Zambian economy, adding that the head of state has also admitted that there is indeed corruption in the country. Reporting for Camnet Television in Lusaka, Zambia, Namwinga Mwinga.
Justice Minister Given Luvinda on Wednesday afternoon asked the Speaker of the National Assembly, Patrick Matibini, to defer the Constitutional Amendment Bill number 10 to a later date. Mr. Luvinda, who gave no reasons for seeking the deferment, told the Speaker that the Executive will bring back the motion at a later date. But Speaker Matibini cautioned the Justice Minister to ensure that the bill be brought within sitting, stating that this is the last session of the House. The Speaker said there has been so much talk regarding Bill 10, hence the need to conclude deliberations on it on time.
Conclude this particular matter. And of course, as you've already implied yourself, that cannot be on a day later than the last day of this meeting. So leave is granted. The question is it your will that leave be granted? Is it the will of the House that leave be granted?
Yes.
Any objection? I see none. Leave granted. Next order.
His Excellency, the President's speech, motion of 10th March, resumption of debate.
Meanwhile, the Opposition United Party for National Development UPND and some independent members of parliament have charged that Bill 10 died on the 4th of June 2020. Speaking at a media briefing after walking out of parliament, leader of the opposition, Jack Mwimbo, explains that the lifespan of the bill has expired and all deliberations currently going on regarding Bill 10 are illegal. Mr. Mwimbo has since asked the Patriotic Front PF to withdraw the bill from the House. And speaking at the same briefing, Mwembeshi Independent Member of Parliament, Jamba Majila, described the bill as a stillborn baby. Mr. Majila said the bill will never see the light of the day. Details in this report.
Our constituencies like Mwembeshi, Nangoma, Mlobezi, and Naroro, yes, that the people have rejected this bill. And we are sent by the people. And therefore we speak of the people, those who sent us, that this has been rejected. And we want to thank the UPND for partnering with us. In making sure that this bill does not see the light of the day. And I was joking this morning with one of the colleagues that this thing is a stillborn. They say that akapopo in Bemba, Maleta akapopo, you go and bury it. So brought in dead. So this bill, whether it is brought at night 24 hours, we shall make sure that it is buried. Whether it is brought at 01, it will be buried. We want to assure the nation, the Catholic bishops who are standing with us, want to assure the youths who are marching in the bush that we are actually happy in giving us support. And any other well-meaning Zambians who have said no to this bill, that we shall stand with you and we shall make sure that this bill does fall.
We are aware of the demands the people of Zambia have been making pertaining to Bill 10. We are aware of the position of the three church mother bodies who have resolved to stand on behalf of the people despite the various threats that have been made against them. Members of the public, please note that the so-called Bill 10 died and was buried on the 4th of June 2020. There is an unmarked grave at Chingwere. There is no such bill anymore. Whatever Parliament and the PF through the Minister of Justice doing at the moment is illegal. And as UPND and our fellow independents, we are not going to be part of the illegality to debate a bill that has lapsed.
Still on the controversial Bill 10, Movement for Multi-Party Democracy (MMD) has asked the PF to withdraw the bill from Parliament and build consensus on the process. Dr. Mumba explains that majority of Zambians have denied the bill, hence the need to let it go. More in this report.
The position of the Movement for Multi-Party Democracy is very basic, that look, anything that attempts to divide our country 13 months away from the election is totally unwelcome. It may even be good, it doesn't matter anymore, because this is a divisive bill and we think peace comes before some kind of legislation. I also want to assure the Zambian people and assure our colleagues in the Patriotic Front that with or without Bill number 10, if God wants a certain political party to win, Bill 10 cannot stop it. And therefore, it's not a do or die bill. The only thing it will achieve is to divide the country, to make it totally unsustainable in maintaining peace and order towards the election, and more so after the election. And so if Patriotic Front truly love the people of this country and they respect peace around the elections, we as MMD demand that they withdraw this bill and it can be reintroduced after 2021, and there's nothing that's going to be taken away from it. And I think that Zambians are suspicious that the curiosity and the seriousness and the aggressiveness with which the Patriotic Front is pushing this bill suggests that they don't mean well.
And in other news stories, despite being arrested by the Anti-Corruption Commission ACC on 4 counts of corruption, Health Minister Dr. Chitalo Chilufya on Wednesday afternoon went straight to Parliament. Now, this was after the ACC released him on bond in his own recognizance as Member of Parliament. Let's take a look at this story.
Than 24 hours of the arrest of the Minister of Health, Dr. Chitalo Chilufya, he has been released on bond in his own recognizance. Health Minister Dr. Chitalo Chilufya was this morning arrested by the Anti-Corruption Commission ACC and was charged with 4 counts of possession of property reasonably suspected of being proceeds of crime, contrary to Section 71, subsection 1 of the Forfeiture of Proceeds of Crime Act number 19 of 2010. Updating the media on the arrest was the Corporate Affairs Officer for the Anti-Corruption Commission ACC, Jonathan Siame. Mr. Siame says the arrest follows investigations the Commission has been conducting against the Minister in relation to the allegations.
An update on some information regarding investigations that the Commission has been conducting. So I wish to inform you that the Anti-Corruption Commission has today arrested Minister of Health, Dr. Chitalu Chilufya. And Dr. Chitalu Chilufya, 47, of House Number 4, Robert Kennedy Close, off Brentwood Avenue in Lusaka, was arrested today, and he has been charged with 4 counts of being in possession of property reasonably suspected to be proceeds of crime. So this is contrary to Section 71, subsection 1 of the Forfeiture of Proceeds of Crime Act, number 19 of 2010. So this arrest follows investigations that the Commission has been conducting against the Minister in relation to these allegations that I've just talked about. So Honorable Chilufya has since been released on bond, and this is in his own recognizance, and he's expected to appear before the Magistrates Court in Lusaka on 9th July 2020.
The Health Minister is expected to appear before the Lusaka Magistrate Court on the 9th of July 2020. Now, the question is, how come the Minister of Health, within hours, he is released on bond and is appearing in Parliament even after being charged with 4 counts of possession of property reasonably suspected of being proceeds of crime? Commenting on the matter is Governance, Elections, Advocacy, Research Services, GEARS Initiative Executive Director MacDonald Jipenzi. Mr. Jipenzi has called on the Minister of Health to resign on moral grounds. Mr. Jipenzi told Camnet TV in a phone call interview, Dr. Chitalu Chilufya is not supposed to be seen in Parliament even after facing such charges.
We expect Chilufya Chitalu to resign with immediate effect. It was even shameful to see him answering questions in Parliament after given a bond, police bond. The question that we ask is, where is our moral feeling or sense? You have been arrested for corruption, but you still have the guts and the courage to stand as a minister and drive a government vehicle, arrested by a state institution, and you are still moving your head high in public and institutions like the National Assembly. Really, this is extremely sad to our leaders. However, we expect that Zambia should raise above board and ensure that those people that are faced with corruption must resign, must be demanded to resign.
However, Mr. Jipenzi also commended SCC for at least trying in this case by arresting the Minister of Health. Constance Mwemba, reporting for Camnet TV News, Lusaka.
Meanwhile, the Transparency International Zambia TIZ has welcomed the arrest of Dr. Chitalu Chilufya. TIZ President Ruben Lifuka has called on President Edgar Lungu to relieve the minister of his duties to pave way for speedy action over his case.
Transparency International welcomes the decision by the Anti-Corruption Commission to arrest Honorable Chitalu Chilufya. And it is our fervent hope that the necessary groundwork has been done and there is a good basis to pursue this course of action. We do recognize henceforth that Honorable Chilufya now has an opportunity to mount his defense before the courts of law and to seek to clear his name. In order to ensure that the prosecution and conduct of this matter is above board, we again call on President Lungu to consider relieving the Minister of Health of his duties and allow him first and foremost to focus on his defense, and secondly to insulate his own government from unfortunate distractions which this case may present. We do not agree that President Lungu should limit himself to doing only what is legal when making such a decision, but he should also do what is morally right. President Lungu has to strike a balance and ensure that the SEC does its job as independently as possible, while protecting the presumption of innocence of Honorable Chilufya. Asking his minister to step aside is not to prejudge him. It is to protect the integrity of the investigative process.
Patriotic Front PF National Youth Chairman Kelvin Sampa has condemned youth who participated in protests earlier this week. Mr. Sampa says it is saddening that the youths protested despite several warnings from government against proceeding with their actions. Mr. Sampa told Camnet TV that the protests will not yield desired results as government was not properly engaged. More details in the following report.
Front National Youth Chairman Kelvin Sampa has condemned the disgruntled youths who were seen protesting in an unknown bush on the 22nd of June. Mr. Sampa says the behavior which was exhibited by the youth must be condemned as it was not supported by government. He wondered who were the target audience for the youths. He doubts if the protests will yield any positive results.
So we have decided to protest from the bush. We are protesting from the bush because the streets in our own country have become so dangerous for the people of this same country. The streets have become so dangerous for young people to walk and protest. The streets of Lusaka, the streets of Zambia have become so dangerous for the citizens of Zambia to do their walking. It's like the young people of this country have become lesser human beings because they do not agree or do not support certain actions and decisions that have been taken by the government.
The youth chairman, who was speaking to Camnet TV in a phone call interview, says the youths should have used another way to communicate than evade the bush and protest.
For me, I would have loved who did their so-called demonstration to have some common that the responsible officers so that they could handle the situation, in an amicable way. Because even if they go ahead and do that demonstration, who are they to be taken to? Because they need to bring everything on board to government. The government to ensure that they respond to their grievances and let the government listen to them. So, as much as government is saying, come, we sit on the table and hear your views, and they don't want to listen to government, then who do they want to resolve their issues? That's one thing that our young people must understand. Of protest, at the end of it all, you are trying to seek attention over what you are protesting against, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
And who's your target over the protest? It's the general public, or it is the government?
So what you are saying that they didn't get the right channels for their protest?
Yes, exactly. They should have communicated in their protest. They should have put it in writing and submitted it to the relevant office. And if there's no response from there, then that would have now culminated into something else that they would have wanted now.
Constance Mwemba, reporting for Camnet TV News, Lusaka.
You are watching the Camnet main news with Banda Tandi, where we do take our first set of commercials. Do stay with us as we return with more news stories.
Dr. Bigron, musaibala komutienda okuni gift na land. Uchitenkubeti uibise mojo basayone. Oh! Mwina mushi, nakuletera njinga. Latest inaluvesi gear na mawaipa.
Difficult, chidi njinga. Liam 19 pendefcon. Transport, we got it.
Nanga phone for communication. Ipunsana chizungu. Yeah, you see what I mean?
It's a camera, difficult.
It's communication. We got it. Inemomi! Powerful system ndimba X-Buzz.
Mufumine kukalale. Na mnaimo muli bakumushi. We got it. Yo Bikron, utole noleta nchemfule mungani. Get you watch that pose and change. 1, 2, 3. Both of you. Kabala and Game Don't be stupid. We got it.
Can I have that meal over there and
I really want that crispy, fresh apple taste from the garden. Can I have happy apple?
I think I'll have my Big Bite 2 meal with happy waziwaka. Give us your
Enjoy an appetizing Big Bite meal with an happy drink of your choice. A meal is not a meal without an happy drink. And now introducing Happy in a can.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us. We do continue with the news. My name is Bandet Handiwe. And in other news stories, goods worth thousands of kwaches have been lost in an inferno at Lusaka's Mutendere main market. The inferno is suspected to have been as a result of an electrical fault. Mutendere market chairman Aston Lungu has since bemoaned the continued challenges at the trading place. Here's a report.
With the current increased load management, buildings and other properties have become vulnerable to burns as a result of electric shocks. Last evening, 3 shops at Mutendere Cooperative Market were gutted due to a suspected electric fault which emanated from a power line near the affected shops. One of the victims, Sabela Nyorenda, says the fire emanated from the power line after power was restored by the power utility company Zesco. She is devastated and calling on help for her shop to be restarted.
Mlionachoka papoa no fika spike pa meter box. Hapo fika paja but mababu naomba usta dim mababu. After sia pesa hapo mshadi na shadi mlio boya ka uma mattress. So vinu vose vinapya kupya vonse. Pakasi wenzeko na MP mailenze. So zamba tumulembe report. Feta chokolemba report so sinize uta ntaniza mjira bwanje kai na bana ku school. So
and market chairman Aston Lungu says Zesco has not been consistent with power supply at the market, hence having such incidences. He explains that power cuts have become the order of the day, putting people's lives in danger.
Cause of fire, chone sauti ni Zesco fault. Malaiti banali banaenda the whole day. Then pamene banabwera malaiti. Ishopo inali yovala. So sitiziwa chane china chitika mukati because venango wanaona kuti after shopo yamba kupya ndipo pamene kunaoneka spark kumwamba huko. So muliro unaendelea maningi wa polisi wanathandiza wanagwira ntchito yaikulu kutumira kuli ba fire brigade wanabwera and kuti siwanabwera fire brigade sembe yonse market inapya. So momwai fire brigade inabwera wanagwira ntchito kwambiri. The market ifanto dandaula kwambiri chameti dandaula Zesco swati ikakonzeru malaiti wamaenda sometimes 2 days osabwera tisebenza mawazi yangono yameti masebenza mawazi yambiri sitikana malaiti mu market and timadaba futi kuti biru imakula road shedding yapitirira. We don't know what is going on kuli Zesco. So ndiye first challenge yameneti nayo as Mutendere market.
Meanwhile, Lusaka City Council Fire Department was quick to rush on the scene and quench the fire.
Our team responded quickly and they abated the fire from spreading to other shops. The cause of the fire is not yet established, but some traders at the market claimed that the whole of yesterday the area was load managed, and so when power was restored they saw smoke coming out of that shop, and they immediately called fire brigade, which responded in good time and managed to put out the fire. The shop was burning from inside, and so our fire brigade forced the door open to access the fire point, and they extinguished the fire.
When contacted for an interview, Zesco head of corporate affairs Hazel Zulu says the power utility company is still investigating the matter and that details of the actual cause of the fire will be unveiled once done. Sharon Kalimbula, Camnet News, Lusaka.
And in other news, government, through the Minister of Information and Broadcasting Services, Doris Elia, has held a consultative meeting with various youth groups leaders at her office. During the meeting, the youth leaders poured out their grievances to the minister. Among the issues raised include lack of jobs in the country and exclusion of youths from various empowerment programs. Mr. Lee, on the other hand, assured the youths that their concerns will be addressed. On Tuesday, President Edgar Lungu directed all ministries to work together in finding solutions to challenges affecting the youths in the country.
You are required to pay something for someone to push for you for a job.
Corruption.
Yes, corruption is too much. Yes, I think they should work on corruption, and there should be transparency when jobs are advertised. Because even for you, if you apply, if you want to be a teacher by career, and then you apply, you'll be told to pay something for someone to push for you to get a job. You don't have a job, and then they're asking for money from you. Why are you going to get that money? Because you're looking for a job.
Let me ask you another question. Do they even ask for sex sometimes?
Yes, they do ask for sex, and for us, women are very vulnerable to that aspect.
We need a platform on where we can share our successes and our failures as well, because there are so many people who are doing great things, but they have nowhere to show it. And once the platform is created, I believe that's when things can start happening. We can have opportunities to find funders for the projects that we're doing. So this is my biggest appeal. And
country is dead now. People are not going to enroll for skills because one, people think if you do carpentry, you're a dull person. You've never been to school. So I'd love governments to empower youth that take up skills like mine. Give us projects. Don't give us loans. All we need are the projects. Through those projects, then we can develop. Yes.
And let me tell you one thing. Don't be ashamed to want to be rich in Zambia, in your own country. Don't be ashamed to want to be rich in your own country. And this is why the discourse now is about we want business for Zambians. Not 5%, not 20%, but 100%. Our skills development. We all use chairs in this country. We all use tables in this country. We all use doors in this country. So how can carpentry be a dying skill? Clearly, government must do something.
And Center for Infectious Disease representative Professor Fatson Goma has charged that smokers are more vulnerable to lung infections such as the COVID-19. Speaking in an interview with Camnet News, Professor Goma explains that tobacco users develop a weak system of lung clearing, thereby making it difficult to heal once infected with any lung disease. Professor Goma notes that disease treatment is expensive, hence the need for government to come up with workable legislation that will help its citizens, especially in the COVID-19 season. He explains that government, through statutory instrument number 39, which bans smoking in public places, has failed to be fully implemented despite it being invoked in time and again. Professor Ngoma has since called on the Parliamentary Committee on Tobacco to ensure the speedy enactment of laws pertaining to tobacco usage.
In Zambia, we are yet to look at all the statistics, but we know among those who died, I think the very first person who was reported as dying from COVID had, among other things, he was a smoker. And we think that that contributed to his other diseases, because they said he had, heart problems and he had lung problems. And all those, I'm sure, were all tobacco related. So we know that even in Zambia, people who smoke have been more at risk of dying than those who do not smoke. And so we are really trying to persuade people to keep away from tobacco smoke. For those who smoke, this is the time to actually stop smoking completely. And for those who are trying to stop, I think this is the time to make extra effort. And that when they stop smoking, they must not be thinking of going back to smoking. But we are also expecting that, the Ministry of Health will now further its services to try and help people who want to stop smoking get professional help. We know that there are professional counselors who can get these people to stop smoking.
Gender Minister Elizabeth Phiri has warned members of the public against using social media to insult women. Speaking during a media briefing in Lusaka on Wednesday, Ms. Phiri notes with sadness that women have continued to be abused by citizens through the use of social media. The minister has since called on the law enforcement agencies to ensure that all those abusing social media are brought to book. More details in this report.
Bullying is slowly becoming the order of the day, with the increase in people using technology such as cell phones or any other internet connectivity gadgets. Government, through the Information Communications Technology sector, is trying to advance ways and means of curbing cyberbullying by monitoring and formulating of laws that would deter people from abusing social media. Others have even gone to the extent of insulting senior government officials as a way of venting, since they can't confront them in person. One of the recently captured youths, Chela Tukuta, who used social media to air his concerns over government illegalities, including personal lives of the officials. This has not sat well with Minister of Gender Elizabeth Phiri, who says people should not use social media to insult women whenever they feel like. She is of the view that Zector and the police should increase their efforts in bringing social media abusers to book.
I'm not happy with is the social media. It is insulting women left, right and center, especially us in politics. The question is this person insulting a woman? Does this person have a mother? Does he have or she have a sister or a wife? Because women, we are the same. You insult one woman, you insult all of us. I'm appealing to the police to up their game and arrest anybody abusing social media.
Meanwhile, Elizabeth Phiri took time to talk about the contentious Amendment Bill number 10 of 2019. The minister says restoring the bill from Parliament is not a solution but a drawback to the fight against gender equality. She says all those opposing Bill 10 should come out clean on what clauses they don't support in the bill.
We are saying as women, let us have Bill 10, which will allow mixed member representation. This will give opportunities to all political parties that will be in government.
And a representative of the women's group that delivered a petition to the minister have called on government to create an enabling environment for women to thrive.
These ladies here are very passionate about being mothers, about being women, chances and opportunities to be part of development in our nation. We have a wonderful, beautiful, rich country. We are not even poor.
Sharon Kalimbula, Camnet News, Lusaka.
You're still watching the Camnet News with Banda Tandy, where we do take our last set of commercials. Do stay with us as we return with more news stories.
Stay home, stay safe. Times have changed. With the advent of the coronavirus, Lusaka Water Supply and Sanitation Company would like to advise its esteemed customers to avoid visiting crowded places. You don't have to move to pay your water bill. You can do it in the convenience of your home. You can pay your water bills through Zanaco Zapit, Stanbic Bank, Standard Chartered Bank, and FNB. You can also use Airtel, MTN, and Zamtel Kwacha mobile money transfer services. For any inquiries to report a fault, please contact our customer service on +260 211 251 571, +260 975 618 618, and toll-free line 5957, Zamtel only. You can also simply email customerservice@lwsc.com. This public announcement is brought to you by the Lusaka Water Supply and Sanitation Company. Water is life. Sanitation is health.
You know I can take her a bake.
Yes, my dear.
I was thinking of getting you a Bugatti for your birthday.
Really?
I'm quiet. My name is Yana.
Don't worry, my dear. That's why there is insurance.
Insurance?
You heard me.
Not just any kind of insurance. but Savenda General Insurance, a company that offers superior customer service, highly professional and dedicated staff. We are not just any insurance company, but an insurance company that actually pays our claims. We cover, among others, fire, marine, aviation, engineering, agriculture, motor vehicle, and miscellaneous insurance. So, live life to the full, knowing that Savenda General Insurance has got you covered. Savenda General Insurance. Insurance excellence.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us. In our international news stories, the price of petrol and diesel in Zimbabwe has been increased to more than double with immediate effect, the country's energy regulatory authority has announced. The increase of 150% comes a day after the Zimbabwean dollar fell by more than 50% against international currencies. This happened after the central bank removed a fixed currency exchange rate in place since March and introduced a weekly foreign exchange auction. Zimbabwe has been plagued by fuel shortages for years, compounded by a lack of foreign currency. In January 2019, violent protests broke out when fuel hikes of more than 120 were introduced. The state crackdown at the time left more than a dozen people dead. And in other international stories, Malawians await official announcement of the winner of the presidential rerun that was held on Tuesday, 23rd June 2020. Voting has been reported to have been peaceful in Malawi as people took part in a rerun poll 5 months after President Peter Mutharika disputed 2019 victory was annulled. A rerun of the May 2019 election was ordered by Malawi's Constitutional Court in February after judges found widespread irregularities with the original ballot. That election saw President Mutharika narrowly re-elected by less than 159,000 votes with a 38.6% share of the vote. Mr. Chakwera came second with 35.4%. And finally, 13 football academies in Zambia have been selected as beneficiaries under the FIFA Talent Development Football Ecosystem Analyst Program. The Zambian academies will join others across the world on the project, which is a youth high-performance program. Among the conditions were teams that have produced the highest number of players for the under-17 national teams for both girls and boys in the last 5 years. The academies also must have at least 3 consecutive age groups like under 12, 14, including under 17. FAST Technical Director Lyson Zulu has held the initiative, saying it was the desire that more academies will benefit in the next phase of the program. The successful academies are Bowlen United Sports Academy, Yasa Girls, Pataki, Choma Warriors, Queen's Academy and Luyando Foundation. For boys, the successful academies are Blaze Academy, Atletico, Mokevid, Rock, Red Arrows, Kafua Celtic, Modern Skills Academy and Super Red Academy. This is according to a statement made available to Camnet News by Football Association of Zambia Communications Manager Sydney Mongala. On that note, we have come to the end of the Camnet main news, but before we go, a recap of the headlines. Corruption accused Chitalu Chilufya attends parliament after being arrested. UPND Bill 10 died on 4th of June 2020 as Pali deficit. Fire sweeps through shops at Mutendere main market. In international news, Zimbabwe's fuel prices rise by 150%. And in sports, Zambian academies make FIFA Ecosystem Analyst Program. The Camnet World News verse of the day is coming from the book of 2 Thessalonians 3, verse 1 to 3, KJV, and it reads, "Finally, brethren, pray for us that the word of the Lord may have free course and be glorified even as it is with you, and that we may be delivered from unreasonable and wicked men. And all men have not faith, but the Lord is faithful, who shall establish you and keep you from evil." On that note, we have come to the end of the news. Remember to stay safe, mask up, and social distancing. Thank you so much. My name is Banda Tandiwe. Pleasant viewing.